Hello and welcome to the session where we are going to look at creating documents alongside doing our computations. So up to now, we've been looking in the workspace and we've been performing various operations and treating this analytic ScratchPad basically like a calculator. But of course, when doing all of this, we typically are trying to generate some document or report that shows our results and so on. So if we head over on the control side to data document, and this may have shifted in your instance, but look for data document and then open up on the results side document, you'll get this interface. And you see on the left here, we can enter script, and let's just type some script here and say add, and we can see that's added into our document here. We also see some templates down here. So if we choose this title template and say add, then we can see different types of formatting. So that's happened by adjusting the style here. And there are different types of style. So number one, there is a kind of shorthand cascading style sheet. So if you are familiar with HTML and CSS, you'll recognize these tags for centralizing in HTML. And then here is the style. So the syntax for this shorthand is to provide the names of classes here. So I've created this custom class box shadow and P naught. So box shadow, we'll see what that is, and P naught is for adding padding. And then the syntax is you use a double pipe here to separate class names that you want to add from direct style style code. So you can, in one line, incorporate preset classes as well as style code. So maybe let's change the color here as well. So color red, let's say. So let's just add this as another one. And let's see, so that's given us a new section here, and you can see it's applied the font. If we maybe use a different font size, then you can see that's all operating there. So let's create a document. By the way, there's also LaTeX support here. So here is some LaTeX. And if we add that, you can see the LaTeX formatting appearing here. We can, of course, also use equations. So in LaTeX, there's full equation editing support. So we can use double dollar signs for a new line, equation on a new line. And so we can type here, for instance, y equals f of x, and let's use a Greek symbol. So you use the slash and the name of the symbol like that. So if we add that, you can see it's rendered the equation correctly. So all your math tech, if you're familiar with math tech and LaTeX, you'll be able to use all those codes in here to really get a high quality document. So let's do this now with the integration of some data and some plots and so on. So let's refresh the page, and let's do a reasonable amount of formatting. So let's do a title here, and let's say in defense of linear regression, and let's add that. And then let's, using normal text, let's provide our tags, or rather the date, and leave a bit of space there, break the line, and then November 2022, and let's just add that. And then we can write in an abstract and all of that. So we can say here, abstract. So we can say here, linear regression is a criminally underutilized method. And let's leave some extra space there. Okay, so we can edit our text pretty quickly there. And then let's also write in here, let's put an equation of the form. Just add that. And now let's add some LaTeX here. So we want to put an equation of the form. And we'll say here, y equals, what did we have? I think it was 3 plus 4x plus 5x squared plus 6 times the square root. So here we have to use the special code square roots. And we use the curly braces to specify that this operator is going to operate on the stuff in the curly braces. So we want the little overbar there. So if we add that, we can see it's rendered that equation correctly. So that's how we can edit text into our document. And by the way, this is all building up in our source code. So as we write our program and do our calculations, we can do all of that together in parallel, and that will render the document. So when we reload from the program, the document will render as well. So now we want to add some data. So let's first go to the workspace and create the data source. And like we did in the linear regression video, we can use that function to generate the data. And yeah, there's a bit more work. We have to add in, well, let's add this table first. So let's go to the document and we go to data tables and we add our table in. So we're just adding this data table. So we have to make sure that in the workspace, that table is selected. And then if we just click data table and we go back to the document, you can see now under the equation, the data table is there as well. And it's the live version of that data table. So your reader can interact with this data table as you are used to doing. So that table is there. You can, of course, wrap this in a section that gives you more for margin and so on. And you can do all that by, so you can select any of these UE hooks. So these hooks refer to specific elements that we've been creating. So you can select a hook and you can edit it and just update. You can also update, and then you can also remove any of these elements. So we've added this data document, and we can go and fit in all of that, but let's simply plot y against x in this data set. So let's now, the output field will be y and the input is x. Let's use scatter plots. Well, let's use lines and markers. And let's just say plot. And when we look down here, we can see y against x is plotted there. So that's how we can build up our document. It is also possible in the text to reference any objects that were made. So in the text, you can also include parameters that were calculated as part of the program. So that's the document editor in our analytics ScratchPad. Thanks for listening.